Good evening and welcome to DTV, Knoxville's television program for Democrats and by Democrats. Tonight we have a candidate for governor, a very impressive candidate for governor, a former U.S. Army veteran, a member of the Memphis City Council, a Bronze Star winner. This is impressive. This guy is impressive. So we are honored to have Councilman J.B. Smiley join us and talk to the people of Knoxville and East Tennessee about what he, as a governor of Tennessee, can help with for not just West Tennessee. We're going to talk about West Tennessee and the Blue Oval City in a little while, but first we want to talk about J.B. Smiley. Welcome, Councilman Smiley, Governor Smiley. Thank you very much for joining DTV.
Thank you so much, Mr. Owens. Thank you for the introduction. I do want to correct a couple of things. I haven't done a lot, but the accolades related to the military, the J.B. Smiley Sr., the elder of the two of us, he served in the Army. He was the Bronze Star winner. Absolutely, it's my father.
Who was the Bronze Star winner?
Absolutely, absolutely. I tell everybody, J.B. Smiley Sr., I stand on his shoulders, come from pretty good stock, as he would say.
Well, good for you. Okay.
Absolutely. But I'm grateful for the opportunity. Glad to be here. And thank you for allowing me to be here.
Well, thank you very much. And I apologize for that. I was in your bio, I see you're J.B. Smiley Jr. and he was J.B. Smiley Sr.
Absolutely. He would be smiling right now if he was listening. So when he has an opportunity, he's going to chuckle a bit.
All right. Well, regardless of that, you are a very impressive young man, and an attorney, an author, and a member of the Memphis City Council. How long have you been on the Memphis City Council?
Well, I was elected. I feel like I've been on it my whole life because I've been fussing about a lot of different things. But, I was elected in 2019 and sworn in office on the 20th. And we hit the ground running. One of the things that I always heard, being a newly member of the Memphis City Council, was that the wheels of government turn slow. I didn't necessarily buy that. And in my second council meeting, we were able to pass a bill to significantly improve the infrastructure around our public utility to provide service through some of the most underrepresented parts of the city of Memphis. So I was really excited about that. And from the second meeting on, we've been proposing different pieces of legislation and policy where we got Democrats and Republicans in one room and got meaningful legislation done.
Well, that should be good experience for working with the Tennessee legislature, because the Tennessee legislature, as we all know, sadly, has a supermajority of Republicans. And so in order to get anything done, you'll have to work with folks from both sides.
Yeah, so, there's a principle that, for somewhat, it seems to be forgotten in the state, that's common ground. Learning how to talk to people who don't necessarily agree with you on any particular issue. But there's one role of government, which is to provide for the general welfare of its people. And if we keep that at the forefront of our minds when making decisions, we should be able to talk to anyone. Because after all, our job is to put people in a better position.
Exactly. Well, tell us a little bit more about your background first, and then we're going to get into talking about your vision for the future of Tennessee.
Okay, so native Tennessean, by way of Memphis. When I was younger, I would tell people ball was life. High school standout, all Shelby Metro. Started my collegiate career at Tennessee Tech University. Played there for 3 years. Tennessee Tech is in Cookeville, Tennessee. Played there for 3 years. Went to the University of Pikeville in Eastern Kentucky for 1 year. From Pikeville to play semi-professional basketball for 3 more years in Mexico. The Harlem Ambassadors for Professional Show Basketball and the American Basketball Association was the ABA. And at some point I decided it was time to hang up my basketball shoes and go to law school. And went to law school at the William H. Bowen School in Little Rock. And from there I had the opportunity to work in the Rose Law Firm, which is the same law firm that Hillary Clinton worked in for a year. And then I finished up at Munson, Rallimore, and Bowen, and I decided it was time to come home and, as it says in a good book, be about the business of my people. So I moved home and got to work.
Right.
But, you know, throughout that time, I've been actively involved in the Democratic Party, served as judicial counsel for the Young Democrats of America, served as vice chairman of the Black Caucus of the Young Democrats of America, served on the executive committee for the Shelby County Democratic Party, vice president of Shelby County Young Democrats, general counsel of the Tennessee Young Democrats. So I've been at this for a while, learning, getting better every day, and trying to figure out how I can put people in a better position. And ultimately, prior to my election to the Memphis City Council, had the distinct honor of serving as the policy advisor to the Shelby County Clerk, and then was elected to the Memphis City Council.
Well, like I say, you have a very impressive background. I was when we had the Party Is Here tour there in Shelby County. I was there when you were speaking, and I was most impressed with you then. And now that you're running for governor, I'm most impressed with you for the ambition that you have and the vision that you have for being governor of Tennessee. And this is, as you are learning, it's a big state. And
extremely big state.
Your experience there at Tennessee Tech in Cookeville, I'm sure that gave you a little bit of knowledge of there in Cookeville and the Plateau area. Now you're here in East Tennessee. Tell us a little bit about what your vision is for the state of Tennessee.
Well, I'm going to be really direct, and I smile a lot. It's a part of my personality because I try to stay in a good mood and keep people around me uplifted. But the truth of the matter is, the state of Tennessee is in a crisis. We're 50th in bankruptcy. We're third most violent state in the country. We're bottom 10 when it comes to per pupil funding for education. We're bottom 10 in teacher pay, bottom 10 in median income, and it's not even talking about the lack of response to COVID-19. That's not even mentioning the failure of the legislature to expand Medicaid. We are in a state of crisis. And we spend so much time in our political world trying to score political points, partisan warfare, and we forget the goal of government, which is to put people in a better position and to move people from where they are to where they need to be. And, my goal is simple. The reason that I'm running, the reason that I believe our candidacy is best positioned to move the state in a better direction, it's a couple of reasons. One, for some reason, we have to get back to what we used to do. We used to be willing to talk to people who didn't necessarily agree with us, because the government is better when we're all talking from diverse backgrounds about how we put the state in a better position. For one, this current administration has essentially took money away from early childhood education. Why would you do that? You perpetuate the school to prison pipeline when you do that. That's a problem. We have to fully fund public education because the majority of people are better off when schools are fully funded. In addition to that, we need to raise teacher pay. They should be paid in a way that is commensurate with the value they add to our lives. Every one of us has sit in the classroom and a teacher has made an impact in our lives. In addition to that, we have to talk about healthcare. Now, everyone deserves affordable and accessible healthcare. The very first thing we should be doing is expanding Medicaid to give people what they're already paying for, healthcare, accessible healthcare. In addition to that, we have to talk about what we are doing with crime. And I know a lot about it. Growing up in the city of Memphis, we see the effect that guns violence has. The very first thing we should be doing is eliminating the permitless carry law. And there's another bill that's being put forth by the legislature to reduce the number of age from 21 to 18. That will be a disaster. We have to take reasonable steps to ensure that people will have the ability to live in their communities, safe and livable communities. And we have to make sure that people deserve, who work 40 hours a week, make a living wage. People deserve a right to live and live life more abundantly. But right now, this current administration seems to forget people are the most important thing in the state.
Well, I think you'll get a lot of Republicans who agree with that, in addition to almost all the Democrats. And now, as a Memphis City Councilman, that's not a partisan race. That's an independent race, right?
Absolutely, it's nonpartisan. Nonpartisan, but the lines are clearly established. What I try to do, go ahead.
You have a background of working across the aisle and working with everyone, whomever it is that raises a question, raises a problem, or has some idea that comes up in your city councilman in council district, and also throughout the city of Memphis. So I've checked out what all you've been doing, and again, it's a very impressive background, and I like everything that you're saying there. Tell us a little bit about, what specifically in East Tennessee. Is there anything in East Tennessee, things that you would like to see done on the state that should be being done?
Yeah, when I talk about, I spent some time in Hamilton County, Cobb County, Greene County. What was prevalent to me is the lack of healthcare options. I was under the impression that Valley Healthcare was able to meet the needs, but it was quickly brought to my attention by several community members that that's simply not the case. We have to give people access to healthcare, and access to healthcare looks differently in West Tennessee than it does in East Tennessee. So one thing that I would like to see done is for the state to take a very proactive approach to supporting hospitals. We've seen dozens of hospitals close. We've seen over 12 hospitals close in rural Tennessee. Well, why don't our current administration say, you know what? People are dying. This is putting a burden on some of the hospitals in more urban communities. Let's reach out to healthcare providers. Let's reach out to companies to provide people with a healthcare option so they can get accessible, can get affordable healthcare, so they don't have to drive hours away to go before a physician. I think healthcare has to be a priority. And one thing that I noticed, on the campaign trail, is that, folks in West Tennessee and folks in East Tennessee are a lot alike in the fact that we all feel like we've been neglected. We all feel like we've been overlooked. Our job as elected officials, and the truth of the matter is we have to do this, is to represent everyone from the homeless to the homeowner, every man, woman, and child in between. Regardless if you agree with me on political issues, our job is to be intentional about putting people in a better position. Folks in East Tennessee feel neglected. Folks in rural communities feel neglected. What my administration will look like is an on-the-grounds governor, someone who will walk in your community, figure out what the problem is, and work hand in hand with your elected officials in your municipality, in your community, to figure out how we can solve problems. It's not going to be me dictating orders from the governor's mansion. It's going to be me working with you to find solutions to the problems in your community. And if I would tell you I have all the answers today, I would be lying. But what I will tell you is I'm willing to work hard, willing to read, and my door is open to anyone. Come see me. We are learning, and we will work together to find out a feasible solution for your problem.
Well, that's exactly what we need. And I think you hit on an excellent point that people in rural areas, people in East Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, and West Tennessee, people feel neglected. We feel neglected. We feel this administration has not addressed the needs of the people of Tennessee. And one specific item is refusing to accept the expansion of Medicaid. We in Tennessee are paying for New York's the expansion of Medicaid. We're paying for Ohio. We're paying for California. We're paying for Kentucky. I hope they're grateful for our tax dollars going to pay for their health care and ignoring our own.
Absolutely. It's somewhat hypocritical. Our tax base is paying for their state legislators' insurance. But those same state legislators don't think enough of the people that they represent to expand Medicaid so they can have accessible and affordable insurance as well. It's hypocritical, and it's time out for games. It's time to put people over politics, and that's what this campaign is about. People, putting people in a better position so that they can succeed and live a very productive lives.
Well, you've raised a good point. What about Governor Lee? Are we paying for his health insurance?
Absolutely. We're paying for his health insurance, his kids' health insurance, everyone who frequents those halls. We just have to do a better job. And, for me, it's not necessarily about, all of the things that are wrong. It's about the opportunities to make things better for people. When I decided to run for city council, it was to support the communities that have been overlooked for far so long. What a lot of folks don't know about the city of Memphis, my district is one of the most diverse districts when it comes to socioeconomic status in this entire state. I have the poorest zip code in the state of Tennessee and also one of the most affluent. And we talk about balancing the needs of people. I work extremely hard to do that every single day. And that's exactly the type of leadership that I would bring to the state. Someone who will work extremely hard for you, and not just for you, but for the children as well.
Well, let's talk just a little bit about your role. I think you're chairman of the Transportation and the Public Works Committee there with the city council.
That's about right. That's about right. So that'll suffice.
And so the Congress just last year, Democratic Congress passed the bipartisan infrastructure bill. Here in Washington, we call it the BIF. And all the Republicans in Tennessee voted against it, I think.
You're right.
And yet they're going around taking credit for what's going on. So tell us a little bit about what you think where the money for the BIF should be spent.
Well, for me, in addition to the bridge that was essentially collapsing right around the corner from where I'm currently sitting today, I think we need to take serious consideration in trying to make sure we shore up that, because the thousands of people that frequent the Memphis, Arkansas bridge, that would be devastating to our economy if we didn't shore up that. In addition to that, let's think about, when we talk about infrastructure, it's time that we expand our thought process when we talk about infrastructure. We also have to include broadband. There's hundreds and thousands of people in the state of Tennessee that simply don't have access to broadband. Let me make that plain. People do not have good and effective internet service. And think about that. In this day and age, the age of Zoom, the age of GoToMeeting, the age of Google Meet, the age of virtual meetings, is absolutely essential. Let me take that one step further. What about the young people who are in the classroom? The young people who need the internet to get a better education. That's our future workforce. Infrastructure nowadays have to include funding for broadband. What we're doing right now in the city of Memphis, we allocated over $20 million of our ARP funding, American Rescue Plan funding, to expand broadband, because we understand that broadband is essential for the success of the next generation. That same type of creative thinking, we need to adopt it on the statewide level. No one should live in the state of Tennessee and struggle to get access to internet. It's a disaster. The fact that we're still talking about it, we need intentional action to put that in place.
And you're exactly right. That's what you were mentioning about what East Tennessee needs. Rural East Tennessee, rural Middle Tennessee, and rural West Tennessee need access to broadband.
Absolutely.
Speaking of rural West Tennessee, when I was in Glasgow, Scotland for the COP26, and Ford Motor Company had a big press conference there and invited folks in. And what did they talk about? They talked about the blue oval city that's being built in Tennessee, in West Tennessee. So tell us how you think the state of Tennessee can help out the blue oval city, help out for the next 100 years, the electric car, EV manufacturer. We've got Nissan in Smyrna, and in Rutherford County, we have General Motors in, I can't remember the name of the city right now, but it's just, south of Franklin, in Maury County. Tell us a little bit about how you think that we can help out the auto industry and how the auto industry can help out with improving the lives of people in Tennessee.
Well, I think the answer is pretty simple. When I was in Owen County, when I was in Haywood County, Benton County, everyone talked about the Ford Motor Plant. that's coming to West Tennessee. And I don't necessarily want to look at it in terms of West Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, or East Tennessee. I want to look at it as one Tennessee. And what happens is it will bring the community jobs, not just jobs specifically for the Ford Motor Plant, jobs because other industries will come as well. And when you have other industries come, you're talking about employing people in our communities. Their median income in which we are bottom 5 in, we're talking about moving closer to the middle. But we have to be intentional because when companies come in for the higher paying jobs, the higher wage jobs, they're seeking individuals who do not live in the state of Tennessee. We have to be intentional about making sure that they're hiring from within this state. And it doesn't fall necessarily on the citizens, it's on the people that we put in elected office. We have to be in their ear every single day and say, hire within our community, hire within our state, because Tennesseans deserve jobs, high-paying jobs. And to go one step further, people in Tennessee should be getting paid a living wage. Because we shouldn't have to work 40 hours a week and still worry about job number 2 and job number 3 while our children are at home. If you're working 40 hours a week, you should be able to live comfortably, make a decent living, and your kids shouldn't have to worry about where their meal is going to come or where their light's going to be turned on.
That's absolutely true. And one of the most important things we can do is for these jobs, we need to be educating putting money into education. You mentioned about the teacher pay and about what we're doing with education. We need to be educating Tennessee students who can take these great jobs that are coming in. We do have, it's encouraging about the future of Tennessee and the jobs that are going to be here, but we need to be educating Tennessee students who can move into those jobs.
Absolutely. We need a ready workforce. And right now, the way that we continue to take money away from public education, we won't have that workforce. We won't be able to fill these jobs. But, I talk about, I don't necessarily see problems. I see opportunities. This is an opportunity for the state of Tennessee to vote someone in office who understands that educating our young people is also educating the workforce of Tennesseans ready to fill the jobs of the future that are sure to come to Tennessee.
We've got just a few minutes left. Let me ask you, any scandals, any things that you don't want out that somebody's going to attack you on? How will you handle attack ads and attack folks, attack when people attack you?
Well, someone once said, when they go low, we go high. I'm not necessarily there yet, but in all seriousness, if any attack ads come, we'll be prepared. Running for office, local elected office, there's nothing nastier than that. So we'll be prepared. And I think what the folks in Tennessee wants, they want someone who is prepared to take on this current administration and all of their inadequacies, and all of their ineffective policies, all of their failed policies. Well, we are best positioned for that. We are ready to do what's right for the people of Tennessee. And if you vote for me,
of course, our patron here in Knoxville and Knox County is Harry Truman. And Harry Truman, when he was criticizing the Republicans, somebody said, "Give them hell, Harry." He said, "I don't give them hell. I just tell the truth, and they think it's hell."
Absolutely, tell the truth, and they would think it's hell.
Right. They're the ones who have created this. We've got about, like I say, just a few minutes left. Anything else that you'd like to share with the folks here in Knoxville?
Absolutely. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I got a few minutes. And in 2006, there was another gentleman who decided to run for governor. Decided to run for statewide office. And he went across the state, and National Democrats told him that the only way to win was to go to campaign at Davidson, campaign at Knox, campaign at Shelby. If you have time, stop at Madison. He rejected their philosophy. And one day he went to a particular area, and he was somewhat discouraged by the turnout. He went down the road, he pulled on the side of the road, and his partner said he was really hungry, so he pulled into this restaurant. The restaurant read A Little Rebel. Confederate flags was all across the room. He went into the restaurant, sat down at the counter, and just had conversations with people. About 20 minutes went by, he gets up, walks to the door. He gets to the door, and the gentleman stopped and said, "Harold, I'm going to vote for you. If you don't know, I'm talking about Harold Ford Jr. run for United States Senate." He turned back and asked the guy why. He said, "You didn't come into this restaurant thinking I was going to vote a particular way because I had certain beliefs. You came and got to know me as a person. If Democrats are to win, we have to go into every community. We have to talk to people, not assuming they're going to vote a particular way, but get to know them as people. And if we do that, I am sure that in 2022, we will be electing a Democratic governor in the state of Tennessee.
You're right, JB. Matter of fact, I was just getting ready to ask you about that very instance. At the end of that campaign, in front of the little rebel, they had their rebel flag and they had signs for Harold Ford Jr.
Absolutely. And it's essential. We have to go into communities that have not traditionally voted blue in quite some time and tell them why voting for the Democratic nominee is putting them in a better position for the things they find important. The Democratic Party believes that people come before profits. And I think that's the most important thing.
Well, I think your whole career has proven that. You're putting people before party. You're putting people before partisanship.
Absolutely.
You're putting the people first of Tennessee, and I think that's a breath of fresh air and the type of thing that we need here in Tennessee. I think we're just about out of time, but I want to thank Governor J.B. Smiley, soon to be Governor J.B. Smiley, for offering yourself as a candidate, first of all, for your background, for all the hard work that you do. Like I say, this is Knoxville's program for Democrats and by Democrats, but it was patterned after the program that Steve Cohen, now Congressman Steve Cohen, and former State Representative Mike Cornell did in Memphis. They started this, and that's where I got the idea to start DTV in Knoxville. So please tell them we said hello from East Tennessee.
I will sure text the congressman and tell him you said hello. But real quick, tell a friend and tell 10 we're going to vote JB Smiley and find more about our campaign on votejbsmiley.com. And I look forward to meeting you all in person soon. I'm excited. We have an opportunity to do something that people did not know, did not expect that we can do. But we can't do it if we all don't get involved, go into communities, tell them about what we're attempting to do in Tennessee. Because if we do this the right way, they will no longer be talking about Georgia. They'll be saying, wow, what they've done in Tennessee.
Thank you very much, Councilman, Governor. We'll see you on the campaign trail.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Owens. Thank you all. Peace and blessings to you all.
Thanks.